The slow pace of evacuations from Lebanon, with the fourth plane arriving today but still not picking up enough people, is drawing uncomfortable parallels to the Kabul evacuation debacle. Much like in Afghanistan, the sense of urgency is not being matched by the necessary logistical response. The sluggishness, indeed, in rescuing Britons and other foreign nationals may raise questions about the preparedness of both local and international authorities. And as tensions rise in the region, it's not as if it was unexpected. This situation risks becoming both a political as well as a personal liability, recalling the missteps of past evacuations and the public frustration that followed. The British government, will likely face mounting pressure to expedite these efforts and avoid a repeat of what was widely reviewed as a logistical and moral failure in Kabul. It's a situation that requires swifter action, or the shadow of past misdeeds will deepen. The ongoing evacuation of British nationals from Lebanon draws comparisons with France, particularly the Kabul airlift. And so, as the UK has been chartering planes to evacuate its nationals from Lebanon in the wake of the escalating tensions, the fourth plane arriving today, the number of evacuees remains limited, and the British government has been criticised for the slow and somewhat disorganised response, echoing the issues seen particularly in Kabul when planes were taking off that were essentially empty, and there was a diversion into a question about whether or not animals could be evacuated, and the government has stressed the need for ensuring safety and proper logistical coordination. But many British nationals in Lebanon are reportedly still awaiting evacuation, leading to concerns about a growing bottleneck, despite all the hullabaloo about 600 soldiers being stationed in Cyprus. Well, Cyprus is quite a long way away. What are they doing to aid this process? France has been quicker to evacuate its citizens from Lebanon, largely due to its deeper historical and diplomatic ties with the country. And France typically has stronger logistical presence in Lebanon, given its former colonial links, and has used this to evacuate hundreds of citizens more rapidly than the UK. France has also deployed naval ships and coordinated efforts with local embassies more efficiently, helping speed up the evacuation process. It's been more visible in communicating with the public, which has also bolstered confidence in their strategy. So the contrast between France and Britain simply manifests Britain lagging behind in terms of speed and efficiency, which is likely due to a combination of diplomatic access, logistical planning, internal bureaucratic delays. And the British evacuation from Kabul in 2021, if you go back to that, was widely viewed as a logistical chaos. Operation Pitting managed to evacuate around 15,000 people, including British nationals and Afghan allies, but it was marked by chaotic scenes at Kabul airport and criticism for not doing enough earlier on, and many Afghans who worked for Britain were left behind, still leading to criticism that the evacuation was rushed and underprepared. And the UK government was slow to react to the collapse of Kabul, and there was a lack of coordination with international partners. The evacuation flights themselves were efficient once organised, but the bottleneck at the airport and the lack of early planning tarnished the overall effort. The US led the largest evacuation effort, ultimately airlifting more than 120,000 people from Kabul, but the American evacuation was equally chaotic, with tragic scenes of people clinging to planes and a terrorist attack at the airport claiming the lives of both American troops and civilians. So while the US managed the largest number of evacuations, the chaos and the lack of foresight led to severe criticism domestically and internationally. France again showed stronger preparations compared to Britain, and the French began evacuating personnel and citizens before Kabul's fall, allowing them to avoid much of the chaos seen at the airport after the Taliban takeover. And French special forces operated discreetly to secure safe passage for nationals and their government therefore received praise for having been better prepared. Germany also faced criticism for a slow start, but eventually managed to airlift thousands of Afghans who had worked for German forces, though not without similar bottlenecks to Britain. Other countries like Denmark, Norway, and Italy faced fewer logistical issues because there were fewer people to evacuate, and these nations managed relatively smoother progress, avoiding some of the high-profile failures seen by the larger powers. But in both Lebanon and Kabul, the UK has struggled to match the speed and efficiency of France, particularly in early planning and logistical execution, and Britain's bureaucratic response has led to it being slower rather than being proactive, and the Lebanon evacuation is now drawing parallels, rightly, to the Kabul crisis, where the lack of coordination and timely response left people stranded longer than necessary. France, with its more robust domestic ties and military preparation, has shown greater agility in these crises, setting a bar that Britain has yet to reach.